Hello, it's Fran Davidson from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is part one of my monthly observations for July 2026. Part one always looks at the month that just was, June. In my monthly update for last month, which I posted to YouTube as well as on the website, homepage and monthly observations page, I ran through 2026 being this year's birth number, which reduces to 10-1, and also 95-5, which is this year's MO. And the MO tells us how we might achieve or step through the learning and the development that the birth number of the year 2026 presents to us over the course of the 12 months. What do I mean by these things? In part, this video wants to revisit 10-1 and 95-5, but from a different angle. As I stated in that video and also on my monthly observations page, 10-1 and 5, let alone 95-5, work really well together. They're very complementary. And I wonder if you could say that about any set of numbers, but some numbers really team up better than others. 1 is very much about self. It is the time when, having popped into being, the individual or the entity or whatever those words might be is given the chance to discover itself. And to discover itself not only in terms of who am I, even though that's important, that's enough of a job, but also who am I in the world that I am in the life that I am in. 10-1 is, on one level, I am. 10-1, therefore, is the development path that leads us to the statement and therefore to the actualization of I simply be. I simply am. No strings attached, no hedging, no fudging, no running, no hiding. Yeah, no abusing, no oppressing, no lying. Yeah, all of those things, and even no excluding. It goes without saying, or maybe it doesn't, there's two aspects of self. I will say that often, egoic and divine. We are each a mix of both. We will never kill off one at the expense of the other. Both of those dynamics exist in all of us and present, I'd argue, on a regular basis, whether that's silently, in a way that only we are aware of, or more overtly, out in the world where others can spot it. 10, more importantly, 1 is the dance between egoic self and soul. Yeah, it is therefore the spectrum of choice that presents to us on a regular basis, probably second by second, not necessarily because we're aware of that, consciously tapped into that. 1 is the spectrum of choice that is, what level of self are you channeling right now? Child, adult, ego, soul, yeah, in all the ways they can manifest, the extremes as well as the greys. Yeah. 1, therefore, is also the dance of what are we enabling, not only in ourselves, but also in others, or even in the world at large. If we turn 1 around again and look at another face, it is the aspect of leadership, example, spiritual leadership. Well, maybe not. 1 is still leadership. Everything is still what it is, but it has an egoic edge, face, scope, as well as a divine one. So 1 presents as the question of what level of example are you being right now to yourself, let alone anybody else? What level of mentor are you channeling for you to walk through life as you are, let alone anybody else around you? Yeah, but also what level of leader, what level of adult, because again, 1 can be child to adult, egoic child, yeah, spiritual adult. And here I'm not using child and adult as what could be called, I don't know, the normal day-to-day terms where, hello, that person's obviously not a child anymore, whereas this one is. Yeah, I'm talking about the dynamics, the inner voices, the narratives, the responses, the inclinations, those sorts of words. They can all be categorized very nicely into child versus adult, egoic self versus not. And we each live that dance on a regular basis. 10.1, therefore, 2026 is here to help us all as a master number year, as a period with a bit more oomph behind these things than usual. It's here to help us all step into our awareness of what is adult, what is truth, what is integrity, what is authenticity, what is leadership, what is elder, what is I am in charge. Not only what is it as a dictionary definition, but also, of course, what is it that I am, whoever I is, what is it that I am, shall we say, channeling and representing right now? What is it that I am engaging with and therefore learning through and from as 10.1? Yeah? But also then, what am I entertaining? What am I allowing? What am I hanging out with or continuing to watch or subscribe to on any level when really I shouldn't, because it's not at the value system that I am now at? We each, of course, have a value system. Value systems evolve, whether that be loudly or subtly over time. So too, that is spiritual development. So too, that is self-development, which is the journey of one. So this year is also about, or has more of a focus on, self-development, self-development as a spiritual and or conscious being. We can, of course, all make the choice consciously not to go down a particular avenue. I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready to demonstrate that level of adulthood. I need to go and hide. You with me? Or whatever those words are. One is a period that is highlighting where can we be better selves. But also, too, it's about, because all numbers help us learn and decide things, not only through what we ourselves experience personally or generate personally, but also through what we observe in the world around us from other people directly, via other people, as in, what other people around us are doing, but not necessarily directly to us. Yeah. In other words, just watching selfness. This year is a year to watch selfness, to get wise to selfness, to make choices about selfness, so as to then decide to step into and represent to the next degree, hopefully in a way that we're proud of, the level of selfness that we're really ready to become and channel next and grow. 95.5, again, is this year's MO. It's the how we might be helped to our understanding of what is selfness, what is leadership, what is I am in charge really supposed to be. If you've been having to work those themes through as an observer, as a victim, as a perpetrator, and we could probably all do a bit of both on various levels on a regular basis. If this has been asking you through those steps, then that is why. 2026 is about that. Why? Because in part 2026 is also about 95.5. 95 says that 9 needs to figure, whether the human wants it or not. 9 means close it off, finish it, come to a conclusion, end it, don't do that again. Might be don't do it again, might be just, again, don't entertain that again, walk away from that. Yeah. So you can see how perhaps this year really is here to help us clarify, get clearer about who we are, about how life works for us specifically, not necessarily for the next person, but for us. In other words, what are the values? What is that little voice that I have to listen to, not necessarily the person next to me? What's the best way to demonstrate the level of selfness that you are now at? And how might you go about that? 5 is very much change. It's very much growth. It's very much, what's it called? Curveball. Things coming from left field in ways that we do not expect. Yes, that could be brand new things. It could just be degree of things, as we've all been witnessing globally, perhaps. But 5 is very much evolve. It's also be patient. It's also forgive. It's be tolerant, but it's also resilience. Because, of course, by bearing, by stepping with the things that test us, by working with the things that dare us to be more patient, more understanding, more tolerant, not necessarily because we understand what's happening yet, but just because we're giving life room, the chance to inform us. We're giving other people the room to show us what they're made of before we just close down on them, slam down on them, reject them completely. On an egoic level, that is. So this year, I suppose if I'm trying to summarize this video, this year isn't only about discovering self and, change in itself. It's also helping us all get to connect with our own gut feel of what am I beyond now? What am I beyond now? What do I need to step free of now? What do I need to put my foot down about now? What do I need, yes, to exemplify and offer now? But also, what do I need to really decide never to revisit again? Because change, of course, especially if we're talking about big change comes out of a moment of deciding not to revisit that. If I put that another way, change comes out of a moment of deciding to be and offer and step into and allow and enable more. So in part, that's what June was about. And to the degree that you felt that to be the case, good on you. To the degree that you're still working through it, and probably we all are, use time and space. I always say, use time and space, use breath. Don't let immediacy of event, of dynamic, throw you too much. Sometimes it will. That's not the point. Sometimes we'll wobble. That doesn't matter. What matters is that we remember to breathe. What matters is that we breathe so as to slow down our response, to create the space, to intuit, to learn, and to therefore determine how to stay with our values. Because at the end of the day, one is, what is the value system you are? Are you living your values? Are you living them truly? Are you living them in every degree? Where is life helping you understand that, okay, you might be 95% aligned with that value, but what about the rest of the 5? Is it ready for you to step into yet? Is it time for you to push into it, even if you've got to travel through that feeling like you're a bit alone? Remembering too, as a final point, 1 can be very much a dynamic where we feel alone. It can be a dynamic if we're surrounded at an egoic level. It could be a time when we feel like we are rejected, we're abandoned, we are excluded in ways that aren't fair, aren't integrity, aren't balanced, aren't soul. And yet through those moments, life helps us find our strength, finds our clarity in a way that then helps us reconfigure, remember who we are, step into that all over again, and channel forward to exemplify that for the rest of the world as a spiritual adult in the best version we can be now. So hopefully that video has helped you just a little bit process June, and just a little bit get ready for July, and just a little bit make your way through the year in all the ways you're ready to now. Take good care, travel well, call if you need, but most importantly, go through to part 2 to see what July might have in store.